Jamie, Najee Harris last year, I think he scored all of his touchdowns in wins. He was like Derrick Henry. There was a big difference between how Najee performed when they won and how Najee performed when they lost. Yeah, when they lost, 17.6 carries per game, 4.3 yards per carry in 10 wins. Only 11.3 carries per game, only 3.5 yards per carry, and no touchdowns in 7 losses for Najee Harris. On a per game basis, let's just say half PPR, he was RB 29 per game, just not good enough. Based on what you heard about the Steelers, are you feeling any more optimistic about Najee Harris? How are you feeling about him right now?
The same. I think the Arthur Smith signing is reason for encouragement, just because of what his system has been and the fact that they will be a little bit more run centric. And, I think everything we're sort of hearing, including today, with the backing of Russell Wilson suggests, more of a game manager as opposed to, necessarily opening up the playbook and making it a more pass friendly offense. So Najee, the question that was asked to Mike Tomlin was about his 5th-year option. And he said they haven't, got that far yet. But he did bring up the fact that his 3 consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards has been very encouraging for them. And he talked about his consistency. So, it sounds like he's still going to be the lead running back. I would anticipate still a split for him and Jaylen Warren. To what degree, we'll find out how much Arthur Smith is going to do that. But we know that that's something that he's clearly done with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, for example. So I can't imagine that's going to change. But I still think that you look at Najee as the lead running back and borderline number 2/flex type of option, better in non-PPR than full PPR because his receptions have cratered since Ben Roethlisberger left. Not like Russell Wilson, obviously throws to running backs a ton. And so Jaylen Warren still a very good high-end flex, and in some cases you can make a case he might be better than Najee Harris, as we saw last year.
All right, let's take a look at the running backs who went in round 6 of the draft. We've already spoken about some of them. This was a draft we did, a week ago?
Yep.
No, a week ago tomorrow, so 6 days ago. James Conner, Tony Pollard, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Raheem Mostert. It's actually 6 running backs in this round, half the round. James Conner, Tony Pollard, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Raheem Mostert. Dave, does Najee Harris belong in this group with Conner, Pollard, Chubb, Aaron Jones, and Raheem Mostert?
I think you can make the case that he belongs at the top of this group because of the work that he should get. Given the changes in the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, Jamie mentioned Arthur Smith. I think we can agree that Arthur Smith has proven to be very good at scheming up the run. And I think we can agree that Najee finished last season good enough or well enough to still be the 1A back in Pittsburgh. And they never, ever really considered making a change from Najee to Warren over the course of the year. And I know that we don't love Najee as much as we used to. He's let us down in fantasy in the past, but I'm mildly encouraged by what he might bring touchdown-wise, touch-wise in this offense that should have a better offensive line and should have a passing game that should threaten defenses a little bit more than what they had last year.
So would you put him at the top of that? You said you could make the argument. Would you put him ahead of James Conner, Tony Pollard, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, and Raheem Mostert?
Yeah, he's there for me for now at the top of that list.
Not for Dave, not for Jamie and Heath.
No, I'd go Pollard, Conner, Mostert, Najee.
I would go Conner, Pollard, Najee, Jones, Mostert.
And there's Chubb in there too, but he's kind of a different case. All right. And Heath, convince me that Jaylen Warren should be drafted ahead of Gus Edwards based on what the Chargers are saying about Gus Edwards.
Well, and I think it's a harder thing to convince somebody of in non-PPR, but in full PPR, I think that Warren has more upside in the event of a Najee injury, because I think Gus is going to be in a 1A, 1B situation, and there's a chance that Warren could turn into a semi-feature back if something happened to Najee. And also, Warren can be a low-end number 2 running back with Najee there, and low-end number 2 running back in full PPR is probably the best you're going to get from Najee. So I think they have similar expectations, but there's more upside for Warren.
Jaylen Warren had
the thing I think that you.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I would say that the thing I think that you kind of want to do if you're drafting from a hero RB standpoint is you want to get shares of guys like Jaylen Warren and Tyjae Spears. You know, kind of what Ben Gretsch was saying on Heath's show is you want to get shares of these guys because of what the expected workload will be while the quote unquote starter is healthy, but also the chance of what happens when these guys get hurt, if in fact they do get hurt, because they could just be absolute superstars. And that's what I think you're targeting, which, you know, the problem with taking, you know, Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris so close together is, you know, you're not maximizing the value of them, but you get them at the right price. You know, the difference between Chase Brown and Zach Moss. I guess maybe even the closeness in rounds doesn't really matter because, you know, if the starter's, you know, again, going a little bit later, but, you know, this is the type of way I think you want to draft. If you can get these type of guys and get maybe 2 or 3 of them just to see what happens.
Well, there were 15 picks between Tyjae Spears and Jaylen Warren in the draft that we did. Spears went mid-round 7. Warren went pretty late in round 8 to Jamie.
I like that better than the picks that he made for me.
What did you say?
I like that better than the picks you made for me.
I used your rankings. I can't help it.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys see a big difference between Spears and Warren?
No, not at all.
I prefer Warren.
Does Spears have more upside? Let's say Pollard and Najee both got hurt in week 1. Sorry, but let's say that happened. Who would you draft in that case? Well, let's say they won the lottery, as Dave likes to say, and retired. You draft Spears Dave?
over Warren.
I would go Warren over Spears, but it's close.
They'd be very, very close. Yeah, but I'd probably go Warren.